Yeah, most of the people that I speak to here say that it's going to be very, very difficult at this stage for China to step down because they have taken such a strong line against the United States and this action. So last night, the U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, was in town in Beijing, and he was basically here to brief the Chinese on all things North Korea, but the two ended up talking about trade as well. Secretary Pompeo had said that President Trump had said he felt very strongly that the U.S. needed to narrow its trade deficit with China. And it looks as though the president has taken steps which he believes will do just that. The reports this morning have been saying that President Trump has approved tariffs for around $50 billion worth of goods. Still don't know exactly when these tariffs are going to be imposed, but the Chinese foreign minister, who was also speaking with Secretary Pompeo, said that China is ready to retaliate. This is what he had to say.
As of now, we are facing two choices. The first choice is cooperation and mutual benefit. The other choice is confrontation and mutual loss. China chooses the first. We hope the US side can also make the same wise choice. Of course, we have also made preparations to respond to the second kind of choice.
And Steve, I was speaking to a source of mine who is familiar with the way the Chinese Commerce Ministry has been thinking, and he said that the Commerce Ministry is ready to retaliate almost immediately once the implementation is clear. So that could be as early as tonight. And also, in terms of what that actually means, he said that it means that the Chinese are ready to slap tariffs on whatever the amount is that the U.S. is going to unveil, that it's going to be some combination of all of the items that had been previously listed by the Chinese. So soybeans, planes, beef, that sort of thing. And also the expectation here is that China is going to pull any deal that was agreed upon at the discussions in Washington a couple of weeks ago. If you remember, the Chinese had offered some multi-billion-dollar purchases of farm goods as well as natural gas. Well, it looks as though those are going to be off the table once we see what this list is.
Eunice, I'm sure the Chinese have a strategy ready to go. Let me ask you about North Korea, because some of the analysis suggests that after those incredible images we saw at the start of the week in Singapore, the meet and greet and the very warm relationship that seemed to unfold very quickly between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump suggests that the White House is now confident it has a direct line to Pyongyang, so no longer needs China as much in this scenario. Therefore, that could have an impact on the trade negotiations. Does that ring true to you, or do you think there's still issues because the Chinese have to enforce effectively any sanctions or any economic ramifications for North Korea?
Yeah, I think that that's what the Trump administration, or at least the U.S., would maybe like to think, that they would have a direct line to North Korea and could potentially have a cozier relationship with Pyongyang and not necessarily need China at the end of the day. But there are a lot of people here who believe that China still needs to be a player in all of this, not only because it's the biggest economic partner of North Korea, but also because of all the history that China has been the one to really keep North Korea abiding by various regulations in the past, and including the sanctions. And so because of that, there is quite a strong belief here that the Chinese are going to play a big role with the denuclearization. And in fact, Secretary Pompeo had mentioned that as well. Yesterday, he was thanking President Xi as well as China for their role in getting North Korea to the negotiating table. He also said that China was going to continue to play a role in the denuclearization. And I think that's a big question going forward because of the fact that we have now President Trump seemingly looking tougher on China with trade. So how is that all going to ricochet into these discussions that the Chinese and the Americans are going to be having over North Korea? And will that mean that China could potentially undermine the U.S.'s efforts because that is another way that China can retaliate?
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.